Jeffrey decides to live stream himself playing video games. I'm gonna get into esports. They make so much money, and this definitely isn't a cope for my video game addiction. It's a real career path, I promise. Jeffrey, who are you trying to fool? Esports? You're not even Korean. Months later, Jeffrey lifts his eyes from the screen, accomplishing nothing. Gold in League of Legends? That's not even close to esports level. Increased body fat? Gyno? Girls don't even hold eye contact with you, Jeffrey. You wasted so much time. Adonis avoided the common mistakes of losers, but then he sees young Jeffrey struggling with all of the addictions. Come here, young Jeffrey. I will show you the way to achieve the life of your dreams. Jeffrey looks in awe at Adonis's life. A beautiful wife, a modern home in the countryside with hundreds of children, and his brothers living nearby with their wives. All of the men working on purposeful businesses, and they grow their own food and they have chickens. The dream life. All down to stopping the loser habits of young men. Number 1. Getting addicted to video games. So when I was like 12 years old, I moved to a new primary school in a new city, and I went there, you know, feeling like this awkward little brown kid. I don't know, like the people here, this is the first time. It was like the last 6 months of primary school, like year 6. So there wasn't even that much time left anyway. But I go in and, you know, I'm being introduced to everyone, and I sit down next to the boys and we end up talking about stuff. And then one of the guys looks to me and he says, "Do you play any video games?" And I shyly kind of say like, "Oh, well, there's a game that you guys might like. I don't really play it, but it's called RuneScape." And the reason I said it like that is because where I was from, that game was seen as like kind of sad. But I said it like that, and suddenly everyone's eyes lit up and they went, "You play RuneScape?" And I was like, why? And they went, "Because we all do as well." I was like, "Wait, what? Like I play as well?" And you know, I instantly bonded with the guys. They asked me what level I am, like combat level. And one guy says he's like 46. No, I'm 51. Zach's the highest. He's like 53. And I say, "Oh, I'm 73. They're like, "Wow, oh my god." Later that day, I end up adding a bunch of the guys on the video game. So like, it's like this MMORPG game where you have your character and you can make money and you can kill dragons and level up your skills and everything. Kind of like Skyrim or World of Warcraft, but like online with other people. And I added a bunch of the guys who were from this school as like a friend inside of the game. And the only one who was online was one of the most popular kids, like literally the most popular guy of our entire year. And I end up messaging him. We meet up in person and we're just like goofing around and everything. And he's like a really low level. He must have only just started. He's like level 20 or something. And so I trade him. We go onto the trading screen and I give him like a bunch of gold, like not even that much. Like I gave him 3k gold, which would take me, I don't know, like a minute or 2 minutes to make. But for him, for his level, it would take, you know, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. And I remember him like spazzing out and thinking, "Well, that's so cool. Oh my god, you know, that's crazy." And basically me and him bonded a little bit this day. It was nice, whatever. I go into school the next day and this popular kid comes up in front of everyone and hypes me up like crazy, saying that like I gave him so much money. I was such a high level. We were killing monsters and I was like one-hitting them. I wasn't. Like I literally wasn't, but he was like, you know, hyping me up. "Yeah, his account is so powerful. He does this and this," right? Now, let me just tell you the truth. This is a very rare instance of just happening to basically be good at the video game that other little kids were playing alongside me when we were all 12 years old. The truth is, once you're older than like 16, this shit's not cute. It's not cool to be like good at video games, and often it is just a waste of time and potential. Here's the thing, young men, what we crave is status, brotherhood, recognition, a sense of progress, and video games manipulate this in us by giving us all of these things, but in the virtual world instead of in real life. There's two types of young men. The young men who are like Adonis work hard to get these things in real life, but the young men who are like Jeffrey choose the easy path and grind to get these things in the virtual world. But then who do you think's going to be happier in their normal real life? Of course, the guys who have built up something in real life. All of the status and the gold and the skills and oh wow, the W and all this shit you can do in video games. Fine, you can be amazing at video games, but you're still a skinny little loser in real life. And I can seem like the asshole for saying this, but the truth is, this is how you feel, right? So don't displace your anger onto me saying, "Oh, Hamza's being mean." This is how you feel. You wouldn't still be watching and listening to every word that I say unless if you knew there was a hint of truth. So yes, I sound like the asshole in every single video, but I'm just the guy who's got the fucking honesty to look you in the eyes and tell you that you can be better than the level that you're currently at, because everyone else, your teachers, your parents, the government around you will tell you you're fine just how you are, but then you'll know that you're not because they don't treat you as well as you would like to be treated, and you don't feel as good, and you get these weird negative symptoms, these symptoms of depression and anxiety because you're not living to your potential. I'll take the hit of like sounding like an asshole, but I'm one of the very few people telling you like you're living like a fucking loser, and so you deserve to feel like a loser, because these things that you want, the reason why you play video games, status, brotherhood, recognition, a sense of progression, you can get that in real life. You can play sports, you could get into weightlifting and start lifting heavy ass weights, and then guess what? You could take Instagram reels of you hitting these weights, of you flexing, looking good, and you'd get status in real life from that. You'd attract gym girls who've got big glutes, and I mean, that's pretty fucking awesome, right? Or let's say you go hard into MMA and you start training, you're being super disciplined, and you get so lean that you've got like a really nice jawline and six pack, which gets you attraction from girls, which gets you respect from guys. And then let's say you sign up for an amateur fight, you win, and then you've got a picture of you with your hand raised and you feel proud of yourself. Or maybe if you're a homosexual, then you can do jujitsu, and then you have the belt progressions, which is basically just like leveling up in a video game, because when you do jujitsu, you start off as the white belt, then you can progress to the white with a stripe, and then the yellow, then the green, and the brown and the black, and that sense of progression's really fun. You can level up in real life instead of wasting your time in the virtual world in these video games. The second stupid thing that loser young guys do is get obsessed over the girl who gives them a crumb of attention, even if she's not high quality. So the girl that you're into right now, most likely, if we're being honest, she's probably a Jessica. Jessica is like the female version of Jeffrey, and she just does all the degenerate bad habits. She's like watching porn, she's scrolling on TikTok, she's eating fucking flaming hot Cheetos. She probably has slightly bad breath, but she's like a 6 out of 10, and she's the only girl who's like looked at you and, you know, been friendly to you, and so you've got this weird obsessive crush over her, thinking that she's such an awesome girl, but she's not. She doesn't actually do like any good habits. She doesn't have a good future trajectory, but you're obsessed over her just because of this scarcity mindset. Now, the question always comes, should you date when you're young? And most guys in my space of like male self-improvement will tell you, no, like lock in and just make money, bro. I actually disagree, but here's the rule. If you meet a girl who is wife quality, like she could literally be your wife, then by all means go and get to know her and get closer to her and date her and make her your girlfriend. That's fucking awesome. The problem with dating when you're young is that most girls that you'll come across in school just happen to not be that high quality. They're all using TikTok, they're all like quite mindless, they've all got like ADHD symptoms, they're not really reading books, they're not developing themselves, they're not very feminine because they're all in the school system and being told that they can do whatever the boys can do and everything. And so getting attached to one of these lower quality girls who within a couple of years is going to go out drinking and partying and posting thirst traps and sleeping with random guys, yeah, that's a complete waste of time getting closer to one of those girls. But if you happen to meet like the outlier, the special girl who's actually really high quality, then by all means, like pursuing her is an awesome thing. So you need to be honest right now. Are you just being a loser who's attracted to like a low quality girl, but she's the only girl in your life? Or is she genuinely really high quality? Like, use this thinking practice. Think about someone that you kind of respect. Maybe it's me, maybe it's like Andrew Tate or Iman Gadzhi or this guy or whoever, and just ask, what would they think about her? Because when it's not you and another man is evaluating your girl, you know, like a friend is kind of saying, okay, like tell me about this girl and I'll tell you if I kind of approve of her. What you might realize is from a third person perspective, it's so easy to spot things that are quite unideal with a certain girl that you've got feelings for and you're like blinded by love. The third stupid thing that guys who are losers do is eat modern ultra processed food. So I remember in 2022, Iman Gadzhi actually got me onto the same diet that he was on. So I had heard once that he had this extreme diet called the carnivore diet, where you basically just eat meat. And I texted him and I asked him about it, and I remember he replied, like he must have been on his phone because he replied almost straight away and he went, this is what I'm eating right now. And it was just a picture of a steak. There was no sides, no like vegetables or fries or anything, literally just a steak on a plate. That was it. And I asked like, okay, like what else do you eat? And he went, just this, like 3 of these a day, maybe with like an avocado. That's all he eats. So the carnivore diet's like this very extreme elimination diet where all you do is eat meat. You don't have to go onto that because it's quite extreme, but the point is to not be eating the modern day bullshit, weird, like ultra processed food just because your favorite fitness influencer is trying to sell you a program that tells you that you can still eat garbage food because if it fits your macros or calories. You can still make muscle if you just have the right calories and you eat like fucking donuts, yeah. But we want to optimize for our health, our testosterone, our longevity, immunity, our gut microbiome as well. And there's no doubt, no one can argue with this, that eating ultra-processed junk food like donuts and crisps and burgers and pizzas and all these weird fucking modern day foods is unhealthy for you. And here's the thing, it will actually cause you to get brain fog and actually just be stupider. Like, how much do you think it is valuable to have a clear brain that works well? Millions of dollars, maybe even tens of millions. Think about that. How much would you value a good brain, a great brain? Probably millions of dollars. Like, that's your route out of any problem in life. That's your route to make money. That's your route to like make amazing decisions, right? Well, when you eat shit food, one of the hidden side effects that none of these like fitness influencers seem to talk about is bad food will give you brain fog and basically make you stupider. But when you eat good food that doesn't spike your insulin levels, and you eat natural food, which is unprocessed, one ingredient food, which I'll explain to you exactly what you could eat, you don't get that same weird like haze in your brain. So I remember that day when Iman sent me that text and I told my girlfriend to start cooking for me, like the same thing, like just the steak with some cheese and avocado. And I remember on the second day, I started to feel really good. Like, I had always had this weird brain fog. Like, I used to sit in class when I was in school, high school, whatever, and I could never focus. Like, my mind would just wander. I would be thinking about the girl I had a crush on, or the video game that I played, or what my dad said, or, you know, this and this and this, 100 different things, instead of just being able to focus on what the teacher was teaching. But at this point, just 2-3 days into this new diet, my brain was like still. It was like I had taken like ADHD medication. And here was the most interesting thing. I took that for granted. And so on the third day, I started to eat some of the normal meals that are pretty healthy, right? I had a bowl of oats. Everyone eats oats and thinks they're healthy. I had it, and I'm telling you, within half an hour, I could feel the difference in my brain. I will never go back, at least I hope, with, you know, discipline, to eating like a normal person, whether it's ultra processed food or it's like literally just any of this stuff that's seen as healthy, like oats and rice, all of those things that you think are healthy. If you go without them for a few days and then you have some again, you'll notice the huge difference in your brain, your energy levels. And so at the very least, you just want to avoid the weirdly like garbage poison, like modern day food, like French fries and deep fried foods and sweets and chocolates and like random cakes that have got fucking glucose syrup and weird fucking ingredients. And if you want to start eating healthy, well, then you might ask, like, what actually is healthy? Like, what can you have? Here is what we can be certain is pretty healthy: meat, eggs, fruit, and maybe some non-starchy vegetables. Basically, just have unlimited meat and eggs and you will feel like a high testosterone young man. So this is what you do practically. You go to your parents and you tell them that you want to eat more meat and that you're pretty hungry. And so whenever they're giving out like the food for dinner, you ask for more of the thing that's got like meat or eggs or those kinds of like high protein things in. And you take less of the low T, like low testosterone food, like the dal, the roti, the naan, all this shit, like that gives guys like all this weird pregnant stomach bloat. Like, if you don't want to look like your Indian uncle who literally looks pregnant, don't eat the same food as him. My diet, by the way, is like 10 eggs, some cheese, meat, a bit of avocado, and some berries. Nice and simple. I don't have rice, I don't have potatoes, I don't have oats, I don't have chips or pizza or pasta or all this shit. I'm not living like a gross like fitness influencer who's just trying to track macros. I'm trying to live like a healthy human being, so I don't eat like modern food. Number 4, not standing up for yourself. So I remember being in primary school, I'm probably like 10 years old, and we're all playing football and I'm in goal, like I'm the goalkeeper. And this one kid behind me, like, he wasn't really playing the game, but he was just stood there almost just being mean to me. I don't know, it was just weird. He was just like saying random shit and he'd randomly like push me a little bit and, you know, I'd kind of ignore it, but then, you know, like just be the bigger man, as everyone would say, right? But it was getting to me. And then the enemy team, like one of the guys, the kids, has got the ball and he ends up getting really close and he shoots and he scores. And it would have been fairly easy for me to defend that, but, you know, I messed it up, whatever. Everyone's a little bit upset at me because I let the goal in, and so it feels kind of bad. And then the kid behind me pushes me, and this time I fall over and it hurts my knees, and everyone sees it. And now I have the option here to be the bigger man, like, which is what my fat feminist teachers want me to be, or to actually act like a fucking man of boundaries, even though I was only 10 years old. So I did the right thing. I stood up and I got that fucking little shit of a kid in a chokehold like this, and I squeezed on his fucking neck till he was like crying and whimpering like this, and the teacher had to run over and pry me off. And I am fucking happy that I did that, because that's you standing up for your boundaries. And now here's the thing, there's two types of people watching this. There's like these snarky little nerds saying, actually, you shouldn't have done that. You should have just told the teacher Hamza's inciting violence. No. This is, first of all, motherfucker pushed me first. And this is like 10 years old kids. You're not doing that much damage, right? But there's a huge group of guys guys who are watching this wishing you could be like this. That there is an asshole in your school, in your work right now, who is literally just a bully, who disrespects you, who violates your human rights, who violates your boundaries, and you haven't been standing up for yourself. You've been trying to be the bigger man, ignoring him. Guess what? That doesn't fucking work. You know this advice you've heard, like, oh, be the bigger man and just be stoic and ignore people. You do realize in the real world that doesn't work. When you just ignore someone, literally, they will do it more because there's no consequences. If you relate to what I'm saying right now, and basically you're a little bully victim and you are feeling like, oh shit, he's talking about me, there's a phrase I want you to remember for life, and I want you to fucking write this down. If you let a man steal your chickens, you may as well let him rape your daughter. The quote is based on the idea that if you let a guy hurt you and basically go off scot-free, he of course is gonna think, oh yeah, this guy's a bitch. You're a bitch. That's what he thinks about you. There's no consequences to bullying this little pussy, because he doesn't stand up for himself. And here's the thing, you can be the bigger guy, yeah? This is what all these little nerds will tell you. What I'm telling you is like a kid who's been bullied myself. I've had racists, I've had like guys hit me and bully me. I've come home with fucking bruises and stuff. I'm telling you right now, being the bigger guy literally gives you fucking trauma and problems for years. Don't be the bigger guy. Do what's right. If someone violates your human rights and your boundaries, you have every right to protect yourself, whether you're a kid or an adult. Like, this is law. You have the right to protect yourself from danger. If someone is being like violent towards you, don't like, you know, end up killing the person. But if you fucking smack him on the chin, at least I think it's right. And would you get into trouble with the teacher? Yeah, of course you will. But you got to take the consequences of your actions. And here's the thing, right? You get into trouble, you get into detention or something. I guarantee that that would be the sweetest detention session of your life. And you would be thinking, yep, fair enough. Your mother shouts at you, says like, why did you hit that kid? You were in detention. That's so bad. You'd just be thinking like, yep, fair enough. You can shout all you want, but I know I did the right thing. Compare that to years of getting your self-image brutalized. You do realize most people never recover from this shit because it's like the electrocuted dog study. Have you ever heard that? Basically, they put dogs inside of these cages and they just electrocute them. And what they found was then, when they unlocked the cage and opened the door, those dogs that couldn't get out, that just stayed there and, you know, stayed stoic and just basically took the beating, when they would electrocute the cage again, but the door was wide open, these dogs wouldn't run out. They would literally just continue to stand there and take the pain. Do you want to be like this fucking flaccid penis of a young man that your entire life? Is that what you are? You're basically just a limp dick who's just getting punched and bullied and like, you know, like your friends fucking like smack you in the balls. Is that like how you want to live your life? I'm not inciting violence and telling you to be violent, but there will be times where you need to defend yourself and you need to use like whatever appropriate measure. Here's the thing, it's for losers to be the bigger man and to not respond and to not have anything, you know, like some kid slaps you in the back of the head and you just pretend it didn't happen. That doesn't mean that you're a fucking G. Think about the men you respect. Just think about them right now. Let's think of Andrew Tate. Imagine he's in like some nightclub and some random guy slaps him at the back of the head. Do you think he's just gonna sit there and be like, oh yeah, bigger man? Ugh. Of course not. If you're violated, you have to make sure that that person knows that they can't do that with no consequences. And I wish every young man knew this, because there's little traumatized little bullies out there who are gonna pick on the guy who doesn't respond, who acts like the bigger man, and you don't want to be a target for the rest of your fucking life. Stupid thing that losers do, number 5, helping degenerate girls grow their business. So the big version of this is like subscribing to an OnlyFans girl, right? And I'm not even going to cover that because hopefully you're not anything like those weird guys who do that, right? But here's the thing, you're probably still a bit of a dickhead helping these degenerate girls grow their businesses. You know why? Because if you consume their content and give them any attention whatsoever, you're still helping them. So let's say none of us are that bad that would ever subscribe to like an OnlyFans girl, okay? Right? Okay, sweet. But let's say that there's a girl that you're following on Instagram right now that's posting these thirst traps. You're still helping her business. If you're jacking off to some of this material, you're still helping them by giving them attention, you know, having her added on Snapchat or something. You're still helping her grow. That's something that losers would do. So if you want to stop being a loser, and also, let's just be honest, if you want to be like the soldier on the right side of history to stop degeneracy, there's an action that you can do every time you see one of these degenerate little girls who are like virtual sex workers. losers. Whenever you see it pop up on Instagram, whatever, click on the button that says not interested. Make sure that you unfollow every one of these girls, make sure you delete them all, keep them nowhere, and basically train the algorithm to think, okay, if it shows you this garbage content, you will stop to use the platform. And then if you also, again, want to be on the right side of history, sometimes you'll be on these social media apps and there'll be girls who are just wholesome wife material. They're posting about wholesome things like studying and, you know, their goals and ambitions and their family, whatever. Engage on that post. Train the algorithm to reward the women who aren't basically just doing thirst traps. Any woman who's got like OnlyFans, you should never ever follow or give any attention whatsoever. You should treat women with OnlyFans kind of like how you treat, like, you know, like crackheads on the street where you basically just ignore them. Like, one of the comments I love to see on Instagram is like, OnlyFans detected, opinion rejected. That is good, but that's still a problem. You know why? Think about it. Why is that comment a problem? By commenting that, he's still engaging on the post. He's still getting that girl some revenue, growing her business. So if you want to not be a fucking loser and just be like a simp who's helping these girls who don't give a fuck about you, don't engage on the post. Don't comment some funny little quote or something. Click on not interested and then move on with your life. The sixth stupid thing that you could do that will turn you into a loser, and this is going to be a weird one, listening to your parents too much. There's a brutal red pill that most guys go through in their teenage and young adult years, which is where you realize like your parents actually aren't that knowledgeable or that emotionally intelligent. And one of the ways this comes about is how they interact with you in what you should do for your life. Most parents are so emotionally immature that they don't even realize they're doing this. They displace their unlived dreams onto their children. So if your dad wanted to be a doctor but he wasn't smart enough, he will literally like pressure you into being a doctor, not because he has logically sat down to think, yep, it would be right for my son. He's literally just making you do it because he wants to live vicariously through you, which is a little bit gross as well, isn't it? I hear so much from young guys who aren't even doing well in school, but their parents are still pressuring them to go to university. Not again because they've sat down to think, yep, university is the right time and investment for my son, but because they wish that they had the status from like a degree, but they don't realize because again, they're not that smart. The times have changed and a university degree doesn't give you the level of status that they think it does. Now, does this mean that you shouldn't go to university? The truth is, I don't fucking know. Maybe it's right for you, maybe it's not. But here's the thing, there's no one who can tell you what is right for you apart from you. And how do you get to the point that you know what path is right for you? This is the thing, and it's so difficult, but once you get this, you'll be so much more clear in life. You need to basically detach away from all of the bullshit of what everyone says. Society, your friends, the girl you want, the shit you see on social media, your parents, even me. Spend some time in quiet solitude. It's like your heart will send you like a flash, like an image that will make you feel really good. That's what you should pursue. These flashes, like, they won't come with like big brain thinking where, you know, you're doing a pros and cons list or anything. Like, the reason why I'm in the UK right now, I was in Bali a few days ago. The reason why I'm in the UK is because I kept on getting these flashes of coming back here, and I knew that it was the right choice just because I've listened to my heart sometimes and it always leads me onto the right path. It'll never be like an intellectual decision where you sit down and you write everything out. It'll just be some weird intuition of like, oh yeah, that's the thing I want to do. Not because it makes sense, not because it's like, you know, university for 3 years, like backup option, and then I can do this thing. No. It'll just be as simple as that's what I want to do. That's it. For me, guess what it is? What's my that's what I want to do? I want to buy a van and I want to live in it. In case you didn't realize, like, my business makes a lot of money. I could buy like a fancy house right now. I could even buy 2 houses right now. And my dad's so confused when I told him. He was like, no, but like you can't buy like a van and then live in it like that. Basically, his perception was that I'd appear like low status if, you know, I was driving into like a fancy gym or to meetings with this van instead of like a fancy SUV CEO style car. And if I listened to him, because he made good logical sense, right? If you want to appear better and higher status, you should get a different kind of car. Okay, it's a pretty good point. But it's not what my heart is telling me. If my heart just keeps giving me flashes of like being on the open road and doing like this van life, like this lifestyle where you're just driving around and you're seeing different countries and you're just like living out of that like quite minimalist life, that's what's going to be right for me. And here's the thing, there's a chance that I do it and I don't like it. There's a chance that you listen to what your heart says and you don't actually like where it's ended up. That's always a chance, but that's life. It's not that listening to your heart is always going to lead you to a place where you're going to become super successful, but it's kind of like your guiding mechanism. It's kind of like your internal like Google Maps. And every time you listen to your heart, this is the best thing. It gets better at navigating and bringing you to a place that you're actually going to do really well in. And so it's time for you to trust your own guiding mechanism over that of other people, because no, anyone who's giving you advice has their own incentives. I want you to listen to my advice. Why? I hope that it works for you. But of course, I'm incentivized for the growth of my own business as well. Your parents, even them, it seems like, only your parents want the best for you. They don't. Your parents want the best for them, which they get to cope and say, oh yeah, it's for you, university, career. It's often not. Your parents will tell you to go down this path just because they wish that they went down this path themselves. Do you not see the emotional immaturity with that? And so a stupid thing that you could do that will make you such a loser is to basically not pursue your dreams because your parents are pressuring you to go to university. And here's the thing, right? This is a point I love to make. Your parents were pressuring you to go to university. Let's say that's the case, right? You're thinking, oh, well, if I don't listen, like there'll be arguments, right? If you follow your own dreams, there'll be arguments. Well, guess what? If you listen to your parents and go to university, do you think that all arguments would stop for your entire life now? Think about that. The reason why you'd listen to your parents and pursue a life that you don't actually want to pursue is basically because you're scared of like arguments and negative conversations. But you understand that if you pursue what they say, you're still gonna have arguments about something else in life, right? So here's your two choices. And if you're not a fucking idiot, you'll probably choose the right one. You can pursue your dreams and have arguments with your parents because you didn't take the path that they want. Or you can pursue your parents' dreams, not yours, live this inauthentic life and still have arguments with your parents about something else, because this kind of parent who's pressuring you to go to university when it's not even right for you is of course going to think of some other bullshit to start nagging about anyway. So there's arguments on this side and arguments on this side. You have to be like single digit IQ to think, well, actually university as a backup option. Shut the fuck up. Your backup option is 3 years long and puts you 100k in debt. Are you mentally insane? That's your backup option. If your heart is guiding you to becoming a businessman or to going into the military or whatever it is, if you don't listen to that, you are a loser. And it is the single biggest mistake you could make. You know why? The most common mistake that elderly people who are on their deathbeds regret. Do you know what it is? Imagine there's been researchers who ask dying people, what do you wish you could change about your life? You know what the most common thing they say is? I wish I lived a life more aligned to me and not what other people said. You want to be one of those people who are like, oh, I went down this entire path just because my insecure little daddy wanted me to get the degree because he wished he got the degree, instead of pursuing the thing that you really wanted to do. Holy fuck. Imagine wasting decades of your life following a path that wasn't even for you. Finally, to wrap it all up, the 7th thing that losers do: choosing instant gratification. Instant gratification are things that we do that kind of feel pleasurable right now, but then make you feel worse and induce pain in the long term. That's things like eating junk food, masturbating, playing video games. They kind of feel like pleasurable right now, right? But it's a false pleasure because then it turns into pain and your life gets worse afterwards. Whereas delayed gratification are the things that feel hard right now, but then make your life better afterwards, kind of like exercise and meditation and waking up early. Choosing instant gratification, whether it's with junk food or video games or hanging out with some loser, taking drugs, partying, casual sex, masturbating, whatever it is false. Fake pleasure. Pleasure that turns into pain is fake pleasure. So think about right now the fake pleasure that you're pursuing that you know makes your life worse after you do it. And you know what the best realization that I've personally had about this topic? When I choose delayed gratification and I go hard in just these delayed gratification activities, what's interesting is I end up having more fun than the instant gratification periods anyway. Like I've had periods where I literally, bro, I wake up and I meditate and then I work and I journal and then I exercise like for 2 hours really hard, and then I read for like 4 hours straight, and I eat clean and I don't fap or eat junk food or watch TV or play video games, anything. I'm just really delaying gratification, setting up good things for my future self. And what's the most beautiful part with this is those days are actually fun. Like you can imagine, right? The day where you wake up early and you meditate and you journal and you check off the big work tasks, and then you exercise really hard, then you read. In a weird way, that day's still really fucking fun, isn't it? Like, because it's like this real fulfillment, real like happiness for what you've just done, right? Then think about the day where you do all the instant gratification, the fun stuff. You wake up and imagine you eat sugar right away and you jack off right away and you play video games, you hang out with some loser friend and you take some drugs and you just keep jacking off more and more. That day was filled with pleasure, right? When you think about those days, you realize you literally had less fun pursuing all of the pleasure rather than the delayed gratification activities that makes your life better. Because here's the best part. When you do the delayed gratification, after a while, it's like the results and that positive feeling just stack up. Imagine how good it feels to do a workout when you're already jacked. Like, this is how I look when I'm in the gym. You can imagine me going to the gym is literally more fun than me playing video games or jacking off or watching TV shows, but then going to the gym's actually good for you. So it's fun during the session, but then it's also good for you afterwards. This is the beauty of like doing like self-improvement and basically just stacking up these wins for your future self. It starts getting fun in the moment and also is good for you afterwards as well. What you're seeing here on my channel is not just basic videos that you see on every other YouTube channel. You've seen, maybe if you scroll to the comments, that this is more of a movement of self-improvement. It's more of a cult that I have created of young men who are willing to change up their entire lives based on the words that I speak. Because we are fed up of living like this normal modern day instant gratification loser life. The life that we want to live, the dream that I have heard from hundreds, maybe even thousands of young men is always the same. We want to wake up next to our beautiful feminine wives and we want to get up out of bed nice and early, and we are fit and healthy and mobile and flexible. We have like the perfect physique, but we're also really strong and happy. We wake up early in this beautiful like countryside peaceful home. We've got lots of children and we're working on like a purposeful business that has given us financial freedom and location independence. We live in this like peaceful countryside compound and we have other families who live with us like the way that humans are supposed to live. Like, that's the dream. The dream was never to just get rich and be some dysregulated entrepreneur in the city who's just trying to fuck as many like stinky holes as possible. The dream was to never just play video games and get the status. The dream was to have like a good family and to be living this like amazing healthy life. And that's where you will get to when you keep watching these videos and making sure that you implement what I teach. The top link in the description is my self-improvement forum page. It has like 100-something-thousand members in there where you can intellectually discuss self-improvement. So go click that top link right now. Click and watch this video. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.